welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Today I have the 61st ranked real estate team in the greater Jacksonville, Florida market, the JAX Luxe Group. Did I pronounce that correctly? Luxe Group?
Yep.
We will go deep into why and how this team works. And one of the common challenges of real estate agents is growth in teaming up or partnering up with another agent or hiring or bringing on an assistant. Let's welcome from Engels and Volkers, First Coast, Lindsy Norse and Caroline Knight. Welcome, ladies.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
I appreciate you guys coming on. You guys seem to be doing some good things together, but what and really excited here just talking pre-show about what we could bring, because one of the greatest challenges I think agents have is you reach a point where you hit a lid, you're doing business, and whether every agent's a little bit different what that is, because we have so many other things where you got families or whatever, but agents who are starting to grow in their business reach a lid, and then it is, what do I do next? How can I do more? How can I be off at 5 o'clock because I want to go do this or go take a vacation, and who's going to cover my open houses, whatever, right? And that's what I really think I want to highlight out of you, but obviously get to know you ladies. I don't know everything, so some other subject I'm sure will come up. So let's, as I kick off the show, always just a little bit of background, like where you guys from. So who wants to jump in?
My name's Caroline. Hi.
Caroline.
I am from here. I grew up at the beach, hood rat around Jax Beach, AB, Neptune, even Ponte Vedra.
Mm-hmm. Did you go to high school at Ponte Vedra High? Or?
So I actually went to high school at Episcopal.
Okay.
When I was in school, there were only a handful of schools I knew, which were Fletcher, Nice, Episcopal, right. BK, Bowles, and the majority of my friends went to Fletcher and Nice.
Mm-hmm. All right. Right after college, what are you thinking at that time as a career, or were you like some of us who just kind of went with the wind?
Totally. I totally went with the wind. I actually was always interested in real estate, which is funny because I used to send listings to my parents or uncles or anyone that was looking for a house. I always did that. But I went to college at Charleston out of high school.
Oh.
Didn't graduate, but
you know, I'm a Citadel grad.
Oh,
no way!
That's awesome.
Yes.
So I actually lived in Charleston at the same time that she was in college.
We
didn't even know.
And then I floated back to Florida because I love my town, and I dabbled at UNF, and I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And then I got into veterinary med, and I was a vet tech for about 10 years. I actually still do relief sometimes for certain doctors.
Did you see that the other day? Just to talk about pets, it was kind of crazy because I have a Yorkie.
Oh.
And there was a Yorkie on the front of this boat down in
Oh,
St.
I saw that.
And I think he got bit by a bull shark.
Yeah.
The owner was in the water, fell off the boat, and then within minutes, right, and the owner jumped in because he disappeared, dove in, and came back up and had bite marks.
Poor guy.
Yeah,
no,
survived.
I wonder what ER he went to, but that's great.
Yeah.
Yorkies are so cute. Poor, he beat a shark. He's still living. That's awesome.
Yeah, what I don't like about it is my wife saw it, and where he got bit is where we boat all the time.
No.
Now, it was in the channel in deeper water, so you're usually in the dogs in the water, we're right on the edge of the beach, and and that type of thing. But yeah, that was kind of scary.
That is scary.
Yeah. Lindsay, where are you from?
So I am from Jacksonville. I'm a Jacksonville native. I grew up in Mandarin and the beach. I went to Mandarin High. I played varsity soccer all 4 years, and then I grew up playing travel soccer since I was like 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I did not play in college because by then I had 4 concussions and was not allowed to play anymore. So then I.
Well, that's an interesting thing because a good high school friend of mine, his daughter actually went to IMG on scholarship to play soccer. She's now a freshman at UF. We went over there and
awesome.
saw one of their first exhibition games to get the season going. What is soccer? Has a high concussion rate, only second to football. Why? What is it how did you get your concussions?
So I got a few as a kid, and then a car accident, and then in soccer I was on a breakaway. This is what they told me because I don't remember the entire tournament, to be honest.
Right.
We were subbing in. We went to rec ball at that point, but we were all still playing in the same tournaments as like the travel team that we were in. And I had like my travel team jersey on and all this stuff. And apparently I was on a breakaway. This girl just comes out of nowhere and just slams into me. And I hit my head so hard they thought I hit it on like a sprinkler head or something. I was
Just
wailing.
hit the turf hard,
Yeah, I was like wailing and screaming and don't remember anything. And I get into the truck, my dad's truck, and he's taking me to the hospital. I'm like, I don't play for this team. Like, whose jersey is this? Where are we? What's going on? And he's like, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you were really.
Oh, I was knocked. I couldn't play for about 9 weeks after that. And then my doctor said that there's no more moving forward.
Yeah.
So that was devastating. So couldn't play in college. Kind of just got a little depressed after that. Graduated college and then moved to Charleston within 6 months. Went to school there, graduated, got a job, was working as a medical assistant at an awesome practice called Charleston Ear, Nose, and Throat. I worked specifically with the plastics doctor. And it was great. It was going good, but I wanted more. $14 an hour was not in my realm of who I am and what I want to do. Patient care is amazing. I mean, I love patient care. I love taking care of people. So we pivoted. We went to a different route. I ended up moving back to Jacksonville 5 years later, got a job at Windsor Park Golf Course, been there for 10 years, still there. Put myself through real estate school. Quickly just jumped in head on. And
So, all right. So let's bring us kind of so you guys are both at this kind of same part of the story here.
Yeah.
What is it about real estate? Did you know somebody? Did someone meet you at the golf course and say, "Hey, you should"? What?
Yeah. So there was a couple different things. I had worked part-time at like this little juice bar, and my manager got her license, and at that point I was just like, you know what, like I need to do this. She motivated me to get it done. It was something that's always been in the back of my head. I grew up here. I know so many people. And when I came back and was reapplying to some colleges to continue my medical life
desires.
and yeah, and I am telling you, I just kept getting pushback after pushback after pushback, and I was like, okay, clearly, somebody is pushing me into another direction, and this is not it. Then COVID happened, and I probably would have killed myself if I was a nurse at that time.
Yeah.
So I jumped in 2018, got my license. There was somebody that I met at the golf course who encouraged me to work with him at a red zone, and I jumped full force into it, and here we are.
We'll go over here to Caroline. What happens that leads you towards real estate here?
So I feel like the same thing as Lindsay. I couldn't really provide for myself on the salary I was getting, taking care of animals as an animal nurse. And if you ask anyone if they're in that business, they're doing it for pure love, for sure. And everyone in that business is amazing.
Unless you're really like the doctor that's running that clinic, you're...
Right. So I was on my way. I was the head technician at a great practice in Ponte Vedra Beach, and it wasn't for me. It wasn't long-term for me. I wanted more freedom. I wanted more time with family. I just needed something different. So in 2017, I actually almost got my license, and then I didn't. I stuck it out for a few more years in the vet field, and then I got pregnant and I left the field, and that's really when I started to transition into the new quote-unquote me. I had someone looking up to me, and I just wanted to be the best version of myself.
So did you have a friend or someone that again
No.
led you to real estate, or are you just like, oh hey, what should I do? Let me, what was it that
Sort
kind
of.
branched you
So
over?
Lindsay and I had previously worked with another partner. I had actually suggested to her to get her real estate license, and Lindsay did too. And I think I just never really
You were a good coach for them.
Yes, I just didn't know how to take my own advice. I was
Right.
just, I don't know, my self-worth was not where it is now, and I did some really good work on myself, and then I just was like, all right, I'm
Need to step
choosing
in.
me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, did you also work at this other brokerage?
No.
No, you
So
didn't.
I'm
Okay.
fortunate enough
What's
to...
right? You came in right with Engel
Yes,
Volkers. Okay.
yes.
So I want to go over to Lindsay here, because you, like I said, you've worked for a couple different brokerages. I think it's important, because there are agents that have hopped. Some have hopped in months. Some do a couple years at different brokerages. But in talking to over 200 agents that are successful today, their first year, making those choices, making some of these their business decisions. And sometimes I think the average agent, if I can use that term, or maybe someone who doesn't have a mentor or someone that's in there leading them, they just sign up under a brokerage, and they often use the word hire, but they're not really hiring you because you're 1099. But it's important to really, if you were advising a girlfriend today in making that first choice of brokerage, to do some due diligence.
Yes, absolutely. And that is something that I stress to Caroline coming on to Engel and Volkers. Just to recap really quick, EV doesn't usually hire new agents because we don't sit and do a lot of training. They hold you at a higher standard and they expect you to know how to run your business. We are, of course, updated with everything and all the changes, and we have our sales meetings and stuff like that. But if you're getting into real estate, my biggest recommendation is to make sure that you have a broker or a sales manager in your office that is constantly there to help you, guide you, and they do trainings that make sense. Because as we know, when you take your real estate license, you're not learning anything. You're just passing a test and moving on. But to run a real estate business, you have to have a mentorship. You need somebody in your corner teaching you, because there is so many directions that you're going to be pulled. Right. You don't know.
And there is no one way to do this business.
Absolutely
so
correct.
So you can look at a lot of people, well, he's doing that, she's doing this, and be confused on that. I want to take a quick time out because I have to bring up my sponsor here.
Yes.
Remy Graphics, as the ladies have also got their mugs here. Remy Graphics, they do these laser engraves, these mugs for us. Thank you, ladies. They have other laser engraved products, and I'm going to put up RemyGraphics.com up there. Go to their website. They have other, and they'll make one-offs for you. So if you want closing gifts that are personalized, a mug like this or one of the other products, contact them today. Mention the show, get a 10% discount. RemyGraphics.com. All right. What were some of the, looking back now, it's been about 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Looking back now, like I said, if a girlfriend came up to you today and said, hey, I want to get in the business, and you're like, yeah, I think you'd be good, what would be some of the things that you think she should do before making that choice of the brokerage that she lines up with first?
Yeah, so you just want to make sure that you're in a good environment, and you can go and interview these brokerages, and you should be doing that, because you're going to probably hear like, oh, you should come here, you should go there, you should do this, you should do that, and you need to do what's right for you and your family. And that comes down to, don't get so hung up on the splits. You need to learn the business, and you need to learn how to talk to people and get out there.
And that costs money.
And it does.
So you might have to give up a little more split.
You do sometimes in the beginning, and that's coming from somebody that was started off as a single agent, then went to a couple different teams, bounced around, went back to single agent, then started a team. And it's just, when you're a new agent, it is so overwhelming, because you don't know if you're doing something wrong. You don't know if you're and you don't know if you're saying the wrong thing or pointing someone in a wrong direction. And there is a lot of hand holding in the beginning, and you should not be afraid to ask questions and get that help, because this is the largest transaction of people's lives, and they're relying on you to get them to the closing table happily. And we all know how.
And it's not easy.
It's not.
From the lending side, I could tell you many stories. I mean, just in the last month, 3 different stories of trials and tribulations. We got them there, but it's not always. It gets stressful. someone's not providing a document on time, and I got agents calling me going, when's this going to be cleared? When's this going to be cleared? Well, if I could go down and reach them and grab them, I would do it, but it's we got to wait for that document to come in. But so we talked about interviewing, and Caroline, you could chime in here a little bit too, because you've been doing it a little bit, so you know what you like about Engel Volkers. But when you're just sitting down, you have to understand as a new agent, and you guys comment on this statement, as a new agent, the broker, yes, they are interviewing you, and some brokers are in a small groups or a small team are a little pickier. They don't want a bad apple to come in and spoil what they've got going on, so they want to hope that you blend in. At least the really good brokers do. They don't want to just choose anyone and just because you have a license and hopefully you bring a deal to the table. They're actually interviewing you, but you need to have questions like you're interviewing them for the job.
Oh yeah.
Of leading you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when we did interview with Engel and Volkers, I had a whole list of questions, and our broker was able to answer them immediately, and that really helped me make my decision on moving over there. And that could come down to, what technology do you provide? Is it easy to, get your forms out? Is it a seamless process? What does your marketing look like? Do you have we have a whole admin team that we can rely on and get help and have questions, and they also have TCs on payroll in-house, and so that helps us with coordinating all of our transactions and making sure that we have time to get out there and start and prospect and do our job. But it comes down to also encouragement and making sure your brokerages are up to date with all of these changes that are happening, and they're taking the time to train you. A big thing for me was that I really did appreciate in the past was how close-knit a lot of the agents were at my past brokerages. And you could just pick up the phone and call anybody, and they would be willing to help you. And that's a big thing because everybody wants to get paid. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And some agents don't have time to sit there and walk you through a transaction, So to have that mentorship is just the biggest key for me personally, and I was fortunate to have had that. It took me a little while to find it, but when I had two great, and they're still realtors. One's a broker now, and they helped me not only through the transactions and running a business, but mentally. Let's be honest. When you first start this business, you are going to be up and down, happy, sad. You don't even know if you what am I doing?
Well, Caroline, so you were fortunate enough to be brought, because everyone loves Corey. I've never heard anybody say, I'm waiting for someone to say something negative about him, but
he's our biggest cheerleader.
And I think he truly understands his role in Engel and Volkers. And loan officers have the same desires as top real estate agents. We want truly a good loan officer. They're the relationship person. They're the ones, are good at taking a great application because they're asking the right questions and are already, going, hey, we're going to have problems here. This is going to be, making something happen. You coming into this scene that not only the top agents that are all around you, you're surrounded by a lot of people who could be mentors if they're not already, right? Their experience. Yeah.
She has some good stories.
Yeah. Share with us some things where, you obviously went to Engel Volkers. Lindsay was there.
Yes.
So you were fortunate enough in that case. But if you were looking around, and knew to look for something like Engel Volkers First Coast, what are some of the things that you've noticed there? Taking off from what Lindsay was talking about, as far as the other agents being there and probably making your life a lot easier being new.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say the atmosphere that Corey creates is really inclusive and collaborative, and he wants everyone in the shops. And when I first started, I was in the shop all the time, and I still go. We have an office.
Is that
now.
what he calls them, shops?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go to the shop.
Yes.
Yeah, and I encouraged this in the beginning because, like I said, she didn't have this upbringing, I guess, where you're kind of like, the very first brokerage I worked at was a great brokerage for new agents. There was training twice a week. We would go over everything that you needed to know. It would contract class, whatever it was. If you needed extra help, blah blah blah. So I encouraged her to go and meet these agents because everybody works differently. And you're going to pick up something that I might not resonate with. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Totally.
But I mean, I just and she did it. She went all in.
Yeah. So I did. I would also help out with showings for people. I mean, I literally would do anything for these people so that I could call them and ask them a question.
Little nuggets from them whenever you.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I'll have a question and I will literally text like three. I have 3 people I text, and I'll text them all the same question, and somebody's going to call me back, and I'll get the answer, or just reassurance.
Listen, maybe one of your girlfriends are listening. What are some of those things as a new agent that you, if you could think of one of the text messages, questions that you sent out?
More so, I would say reassurance with like how I'm handling a situation with a client, because there's so much gray area, or you're nervous about things. I fired my first client.
I can't. When I say she went all in.
So Lindsay didn't take a swing at her?
No. I mean, and we're still good.
No, I'm not saying literally swing, but take a shot of like trying to represent.
Well, we did. And
she was dipping in a couple different using multiple realtors, and I was driving a lot to help her. And I just had to know the value myself. And I said, if you're going to be working with someone else and not exclusive with me, I can't do it. And, and my advisors, mentors, they have really instilled in me, I do need to value my time. I need to figure out what's working and what's not. And I try to.
Yeah. Another thing that I think that really, and I don't want to speak for you, of course, but her coming into a brokerage where there isn't a lot of training, it can be scary because you're just like a lost little puppy. Like, where do I go? Who do I go to? And like I said from the beginning, and she's very understanding of this, I was not in a position to train anybody. I was very open with that. And then when our partner kind of went into a different direction, Caroline and I meshed so well together. We just took off. And she, like I said, I think you love Evie.
Yes.
She doesn't really have much to compare, but we've talked about.
I've heard her stories.
Yeah, we've talked about other brokerages that I've been at and things like that. And I even said a long time ago, I was like, I'll never go back to corporate because I worked at Compass for a little while.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, here we are.
Well, I always, whenever I have one of Corey's agents on, I know, he wants experienced agents. So I feel the conversations that are taking place in their trainings are at a different level because everyone's got so many sales under their belt.
Very true.
Versus the new office, and the new office can almost be in a situation where they're not moving forward, and that every agent reaches a point. It's like, okay, well, now there's so many other new agents. I've got experience, but they're still talking to the new agents. They're not giving that advanced class, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And that did happen to me. I was just at a wall. I was thinking to myself, like, I need to level up. I have a ton of business coming in, and I was starting to hit those $1 million.
So why are you still at the golf course then?
I know. So
she loves golf.
Are you picking up clients there?
I do. So I have closed probably, I think, September. This will be my 10th deal from the golf course.
Okay.
However, it is time to close that chapter. I am so busy. Even last night, I was like panicking because I have 6 contracts right now, and I was like, "This is the last place that I need to be."
But she does love golf.
Yeah, so I do love golf, and I get free golf. But working there 10 years, hopefully we could write that into like I'm grandfathered into free golf.
Give them some sort of Sunday afternoon. Yeah. I don't know, maybe. Type of. All right, so you're swamped. You've got her. How does this team work? What
That's a great question.
Are you buying and selling, or listing and listing agent, buyer's agent? How do you guys?
We do. We do all of it. So my first closings were actually double, where I had a seller and then they were buying, and then I actually had 3 under contract at the same time for my first
month.
Well,
Yeah, it was
now,
wild.
did they come? They were
Her
deals?
sphere.
Right from her sphere.
Yeah.
Great.
So Caroline has an incredible sphere, and that is how we focus on her getting her leads. And just to touch on how we do run our team, we are a partnership. So we split like all of our marketing and stuff like that, and then we do deals together if it's a client that we both want to represent, or if we get a lead from somebody and they want us to be the partnership on the deal, we do that. But for the most part, we do run our own deals. But literally, like, I can say that Caroline's a brand new agent, and I've been in the business for 6 years, but I will tell you that this girl right here is my right-hand man. Whatever, I'm going to cry. Like, whatever I need,
Well, that's a new one for the show. Go
she
ahead.
is there. I can't explain to you how she has been such a blessing into my life and my business. And if it wasn't for her, I probably would be crumbling right now. But she has a huge sphere, so do I, and that's where we kind of target our business. We will take leads, but the majority of our business is referral based and or just our sphere.
Primarily because you're both
Local.
spending most of your life here.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. We have had our hands in all different parts of the city. She played sports. I grew up playing travel soccer. I just grew up at the beach, grew up in Mandarin. I wasn't one of those beach kids that never crossed the ditch. I would go anywhere, and so would she. And so we have a lot of knowledge about the town. We live in different areas, which also helps us to just know where we're going, how to serve people that are looking in these different areas, and it's just been so good.
How do you said that there's some customers that you want to work together, or is it maybe just a joint friend type of thing? How does that situation come about?
So we've been getting a lot of leads lately from our old partner. Had her license in Oklahoma City, and so we have been getting referrals from people that have just had property here, or they are purchasing businesses and they want a place, and so that has helped us, and we work those together.
Okay.
And we want to get to a point where we're doing everything together mostly, I think, but we're also so busy, and we're creating a business right now, and takes a lot of
So how are you guys you've been in the 6 years, so there's been some trial and error.
Oh yeah.
She's obviously benefited from this, but working that fear, working those people that have maybe you've known for 20 plus years, you may not have them over for dinner, but they know who you are, and obviously they've somewhere along the line they've gained some sort of respect and trust for you to give you their business. So how are you working at? What kind of marketing, what kind of stuff are you?
You want to take this? She loves her advocate appointments.
Yeah.
And
So
we have people on the Client for Life. And
so we have, like
Touches.
she said, we call them advocate appointments, and I just get to go hang out with my friends and do what I'm good at, which is be a good friend. I love my friends,
All right,
their
you
family.
have to define.
But I
what
always
this
talk real
advocate-
estate.
You have
Yeah.
to define what an advocate.
Okay,
whatever
so
it
this is something that I learned a long time ago on how to just touch your sphere. And I taught her, I said, listen, just go, if there's somebody that's on your mind, send them a card and say, I'm thinking about you, and they'll get it. Like, who doesn't like snail mail when it's like, oh, this isn't a bill, like someone's thinking about me.
Right.
And then just touch with them, like text them and say, hey, I'd love to grab coffee. I know you're busy. She's a mom, so she could touch base with them if they have kids. She also has a lot of animals that I don't know if we want to talk about, but we can. I see him on the screen right there.
Yorkie.
So I just said, hey, if it's a coffee date, go meet up with them, have coffee, and talk about them. Let them talk. And when they ask you about real estate, girl, if you want, you can open up that can of worms and just say, it's going great, I love it. And then basically an advocate appointment also is somebody that maybe we're buying and selling, upgrading, downsizing, whatever it is. When you're going through your sphere list and you start seeing them, you're like, oh, they just had a baby. I should stop by and bring them a meal, or just something to get in front of them so that they constantly remember who you are.
And stuff you like to do anyway.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And they're your friends.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of us we go through the week. We're busy. We got got kids or whatever we're around, and you for real estate agents, your life is a real estate agent. It's all kind of blends in together, whether it's 8 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock in the morning and anywhere in between. And I would imagine you probably say, hey, I want to set forth, I want to reach out and have coffee with 5 people this week or something like that. And you set that goal and start getting that.
Yes. And so like, I think at first for me, also a thing I had difficulty with was I came from going to like a 9 to 5-ish, you know what I mean? So I felt weird getting to hang out with my friends as like part of
guilty.
my business.
She didn't understand that was work.
Right. And so Lindsay really helped me realize that she was like, those are advocate meetings, Caroline. Those are, you're going around your sphere of people who already love and trust you. And that's where I got business from, people who really do love and trust me. And they value me and they understand that I have a lot to offer. And it was really great. And I just love what I do so much.
Yeah. Coming from the medical field and having eyes on you 24/7 and thinking like every second. I mean, when I was a nurse, I would be running down the hall stuffing string cheese in my throat just trying to get through the day. Like I never had a lunch break. I would work 12 hours a day, Monday through Friday, with an hour-and-a-half drive. And
no real defined like you're off, because if something happens in the hour you're supposed to get off, oh no, we need you to stick around for a little while.
Absolutely. And so you're just used to that. It's kind of like, you're just used to having so much structure. And when you go into real estate, you're like, what's my structure? What do I do? And so she was just struggling with that because she's just so used to go. I have to. There's animals in the ER.
Next client,
There's
next patient.
Beat it off.
What do I do? What do I do? Like, what do you mean I can go get coffee at 10:30 in the morning? Like, what? And I'm like, yes, girl. Like, this is part of it. Like, go and love on your people, because that's where you're gonna get your business from. And they want to use you. They and like you saw, her social media presence has gotten better now that I got her on the gram. But that's not her forte. Her forte is face to face.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So who is doing? Are you guys doing your own social media marketing? I know Engel and Volkers. Corey has some support people. Talk about that a little bit. How you utilize that in the brokerage.
So we have admin, so they help us with our marketing for listings, buyer packets, flyers. You have the ability to do social media if you would like. We don't really use it for our social media, like our Instagram. I like it to just be authentically myself, so that I attract people that are like me for me.
Right.
Otherwise, though, they're great. They help us. We do 2 newsletters a month through our Resora. It's an automated email platform, and the admin help us organize that, make it pretty, upload the photo, make it however we want. It's amazing. And so that helps us, because those are 2 emails that go out each month. We do one with events around Jacksonville, and then maybe a little blog post that we have on our website. And then we also do a marketing email. We are in the Market Distillery with Alex Stewart, and so I do a mid-month recap of the month before and then looking forward to the next month.
Did you know, not taking anything away from Market Distillery, but I'm amazed by what Florida Realtors has for their people, and no one's using some of the member benefits that they have that'll actually create posts on market updates. I'm like amazed at when they showed me this, I'm like, holy cow, no one's using it.
But I don't think we even know that it's like available to us, because we're so hyper focused on like what's right in front of me. That agents don't want to take the time to go look for those things. But you're right, and we should use that because we're paying them.
Yes.
And to touch on the marketing team, it's been really good and helpful when I'm out and about and I'm like, hey, like I need a whole listing package. Can you put this together for me? Caroline did a great job at creating buyer packets and home guides and stuff like that, and we just send it to them and get it tailored to our branding. And it's just great to have them on our team, because they can really help us navigate how we want to do our post, and if we need an extra hand to film or anything like that, like they're always there to help us, which is great.
Open house flyers, listing flyers, they do all of that.
Do you utilize the transaction coordinator?
Absolutely.
1000%.
Yeah.
How does that, I mean, you've done enough transactions, I'm sure you've done it all yourself to now having that transaction coordinator. To those who are not using a transaction coordinator or assistant or whatever, I think everyone has a different definition of a transaction coordinator.
Yeah.
I was telling you, I was having breakfast with my boss this morning. I said, I've talked to all these agents. They really all do their business different, and they all have a different idea what or want the transaction coordinator to do. And good transaction coordinators are going to get down with you and get on the same, this is how we want to work together. I want my message at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night or whatever. And that sort of thing. But how has that taken you, because you've done it all yourself, to now having that?
Oh man. I mean, it is just the biggest blessing, because I personally do not like being on the computer. I would rather be out and about, like talking to people and doing stuff. And of course our deals need to get done, but we use Brooke Hicks, and she is phenomenal. If we need to come to have a meeting and just say, hey, we want to change up a couple things on how we talk to the customers, or however we need to do it, she'll tailor it to how we want it done, which is awesome. And it's hard, these transaction coordinators are dealing with a ton of different personalities, and some can be very mean, some can be a little bit more relaxed, and we don't want to be taken advantage of, because
Except last night when you were going to 6
besides that.
And also, like, they're doing for ours, she works for our brokerage as well, and so she's doing a ton of transactions, which benefits us if we wanted to, by spitballing with her.
Yes.
When we're worried about something, or I want to double check something, I don't hesitate. I just text her or I call her, because I want to put myself at ease, and she knows what she's doing. And
well, it's so it happens in the loan world as well, when you've got a great processor and underwriting team that's coordinated. And I will brag because I've worked for different lenders, that they already see the bump in the road issue. They go, well, how did we handle this in another? Because they are seeing all the transactions, not just yours, and other people are having similar issues. And we don't have time as real estate agents to sit down with everybody and talk about all your issues that you've had and how you solved them. But they are, because they're sitting in a cube, and that's what they do at the water cooler.
It's definitely beneficial. And I mean, just this week I was like having a panic attack, and Caroline's like, just call Brooke. And I called Brooke, and she's like, all right, girl, this is what the steps are. Bam, 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 bam. And she's like, I've done this 5 times, this week. And it definitely does take the stress off. And for instance, she was like, oh, I got 40 files on my desk right now. Whatever you're going through, I've already been through.
40 files, that's about max for a really good
that's
transaction
a lot.
coordinator.
If you can really think about it, that's a ton.
Now, I assume you kind of use them the similar way.
Yes.
So are you handing over the file, or they're reaching out to the inspectors? What kind of things are they picking up for you?
I would say, so they're putting dates together. She contacts all parties involved, doing like the preliminary emails. She connects with our title.
Are you guys control freaks in like how the communication goes, or you let her do her professional thing?
She does a really good job. Everything is pretty much cut and dry, which is good, and we trust her. So if there's anything that comes up and she needs us to like nudge them or say it a different way or whatever, she's like, hey, can you just tell them what's going on, because I've tried? Or she'll reach out to them.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
We're like, hey.
Can you reach out to them, because they might like you better at this time?
Yeah, I had to be bad cop, right?
Yeah.
She'll be bad cop.
But there are some people, again, whether it's a loan officer or they want all this control.
Yeah, we're a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah, well, I think the only way you can grow production-wise and take it off your plate is you got to understand that's an adult, a professional.
Yeah, delegate those tasks.
You tried them out; they haven't burned you yet. You got to let it fly.
Exactly.
It's the only way to go, in my opinion.
And as long as I have those dates in my calendar, and we're all on the same page. I mean, I check in with her, once a day minimum if I have deals going on that she's on. So, I'm in constant contact. And then at the end of the day, if when she's off and say, you know, we're working until 11 p.m. and now that we're on Far Bar, we're working till midnight. I send her an email of everything that's happened over the night so that she's caught up.
I heard you can get an addendum from Landmark Title that says 7 o'clock.
Yes, we have talked about those. I did receive one actually on one of my deals recently, and it all worked out. I kind of like that because man, but when I have we do a lot of VA, so right now currently I have a client that's in Japan, and the second party of that deal is in Washington State, and so that midnight hour does kind of come in handy. But I'm up late, let me tell you.
So are they ordering the inspections for you? Or are they?
So we do that.
You're doing that. You're getting that first hand off because you're trying to call that even before you're sending in the contract. You're already trying to get that inspection.
Absolutely.
We're always at our inspections, so I want to schedule that because that's on my calendar. Brooke doesn't know our calendars, and so we're very hands on.
Well, with 40 transactions, by the time she gets to it, it could be late the next afternoon.
Correct. And that's true. And so we're kind of learning how she flows and when her load is really heavy, stuff like that. I'm just transparent. Like, hey, what's your load looking like? And she'll just tell me, I'm good. Like, let's go. You know, we got this. Or, hey, I'm going to go ahead and schedule this, and this. And then I give her the times, you know, just to keep her on track. But we do, I would say it's about 50-50 of the workload. But it's nice that she can coordinate all the admin things. And
what's amazing in the call to Brooke is the fact that she can handle 45 and still keep you guys are happy
updated.
With
yeah, she's a beast.
She'll call us. I'm like, awesome. Brooks, call it.
That's got to be easily probably 30 to 35 agencies probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Half of them are Lindsay's deal. I'm just kidding.
All right, so we were talking down the hallway as we came in here. Obviously, this week everyone's on the education or I'm going to call it enlightenment.
Oh, I like that.
The buyer broker agreement enlightenment this week. Do you guys have concerns about it? Let's talk about that because I think listeners, they may have similar questions, and I know they do because I fielded a lot of questions before I had David Heekin on and Rose a few days ago. So, you know, talk about maybe what are your concerns? How are you guys approaching it with your buyers?
So I did do my very first one this week, and it was a little awkward at first, but, you know, the more that you do it, the better you're going to get, right? And so we've been doing role playing and practicing and just deep diving into it and trying to come up with the objections to see how we can pivot and, you know, how to explain it and make everybody feel comfortable. And we've done a lot of stuff. Would you like to? And one of the, going back to collaborating with agents in our brokerage, there's a couple different teams that sit down with us and we do role play and collab, and it's been very beneficial to bounce those ideas off of those top agents
and how they're gonna
do it. She has one of her mentors.
One of my mentors. Shout out Amy Powell. And
Amy.
We love Amy.
Amy's been on the show.
Okay, so she's
amazing. And right when I had first started, I actually sat down with her and went over how she does her buyer consultations. And Amy is amazing. And she was like, "You're going to want to record this." So of course then I was like, okay. And so the other day Lindsay and I replayed the voice memo, like our voice memo, and went through it. And, you know, of course the buyer consultation's a little different, but the way that she presents it is exactly how we would want to present. We present our value, we explain, you know, how real estate agents get paid. We've also started kind of talking about how we might tweak things depending on who the buyer is, depending on whether we're gonna do a flat fee. And we would probably always include in additional terms, you know, if the seller is not paying compensating. So we're working on it. We're working through it. I'm not worried about it.
Are you guys being good agents on the front? Because I think this, obviously, I wouldn't say it puts a load on the listing agent, but the listing agent needs to do their part in this.
Absolutely.
If you were just a listing agent and you're like, I don't care what the buyer's agent, I just do listings. I don't care if I ever get a buyer. Someone that has that kind of attitude is really, it gets around quickly. That if the listing agent does their job and truly explains on the front end, it's going to take a load off the buyer's agents who still have to do what they're doing. You still have to explain, I'm going to get paid this much or whatever, you know, go through that buyer's agreement. But going into transactions, just like you've always done them.
Yeah.
It's just now everybody knows what everybody's getting because they assumed that nobody was being told.
Right, which, whatever. But we could deep dive in that.
I need to do just a show because David Heekin has the same expression you have. We want to like tell him where to go with it. Right?
Yeah.
I know. I actually was explaining to one of my clients like how it works this morning, and it just like I kept on being like, it's just.
Yeah, and it could sound kind of icky in the beginning, but we've talked about how we are investing in you. And one of the things that we've kind of role played is just saying, like, we're investing in you just like you are investing in us. You have a full-time job. This is my full-time job. I want you, while you're at work, to know and feel confident that I'm doing what I can to get you in your home. I'm doing so many things on the back end to, make sure the sale goes through. I'm doing the negotiations. I'm doing everything for you. And I want you to know that you can rest your head at night and actually sleep. I might not be sleeping, but I want you to sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
And some of those things that we've talked about was, what are some of the role plays that we did? It was, we're investing in you. You don't have to marry us, but we need to be exclusive.
And then I just thought of one. So we limit the number of buyers we're working with, so that way we're giving everyone
equal amount of time.
Right.
And so when we're exclusive with you, you get our full commitment. But I think on the aspect, I've had a ton of phone calls, emails, and all of that in the last 48 hours from reverse prospecting. I honestly had no idea what it was. I'm not gonna lie.
What?
So
yeah, she had to ask me what it was.
I was like, what is happening? Because I have had buyers, I guess, on searches on the MLS, and when it's getting reverse processing, I'm getting listing agents that have listings sitting that are notified that I had a search for the criteria their house fits. So they're reaching back out to me to see if I still have a buyer in that area or if I have one currently.
It means the inventory's growing, isn't it?
It is. And
literally all of them, it's been the last 48 hours. I probably had 6 agents contact me with listings.
Saying, hey, do you have the buyer still interested? Or
yeah. And it's crazy to see how much inventory that we've had just blow up. I'm on MLS all day, and I think it was close to like 14,000 listings in our Northeast Florida region. But, I do a lot of listings, and so I want to practice like normal, and
buyer's agents are important, and that's what it shows, is that I have a whole database, and I realize the importance of a buyer's agent, and so I think the listing agent just needs to make sure they're able to convey that as well.
I want to get 2 things out of you just come up.
Yeah.
You were role playing with Amy, and so what do you guys think? Because I think I don't know, Ant Stroud, he threw out a number the other day. He said 72 things that you do after closing. Maybe that is 72 if you actually break it down of possible things that you could be doing after you actually get a contract, right?
Oh yeah.
What do you think are the important things that every agent, for most of their buyers' consultations, should be mentioning as one of the big things that you're doing on the back end, besides something like negotiations?
Yeah.
I think that's you should mention that you're going to be negotiating to remind them, but something they don't know that is huge value that's important to bring it up.
That will be their therapist.
And we know the contract.
Good answer. That is a good answer.
We try to just be upfront about the contract
knowledge,
and knowing the steps to get to closing, because I preference with, you're going to be so happy, then you're going to be mad, then you're going to be sad, then you're going to be pissed, and then you're going to be happy again. And that's okay. These are normal things. And you can call me and rely on me to talk about those things. But in the back end,
so really expectations.
Yes.
You're really making your huge part of your value is setting that expectation so that they're not losing sleep at night.
Yes. Yeah. And
it's a huge purchase.
I do a lot of relocations, and so these moves are coming from, across the entire country, sometimes from another country, whatever, and it is very stressful. And she has too. She just closed one that was coming from California, and these are huge moves, and these people are stressed. Let's be honest. They're packing up their family, they're getting a new job, they don't know anything about Florida, and you have to set that expectation.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things I've been preaching about on the show, and I told you my aspiration a meeting I have in a couple of weeks, the importance real estate agents, obviously with the NAR settlement and so forth, this whole thing going on, obviously the collateral damage has been you're devalued.
Yeah.
Some people have been trying to devalue you. Let's put it that way.
Oh, yeah.
When really real estate agents are really a pillars of communities, and they don't understand housing is such a big part of our economy and our GDP, but it's the real estate agent that's taking that family from California, has no clue what's going on, but they're hand holding them, making sure they know where to get the school kids registered or whatever it is, and getting them settled in. And let alone, you said you do a lot of military, their spouse may not be here.
Right. No, it's and navigating that for them is I enjoy it, but it's stressful. But at the end of the day, they're always happy, and they're so happy with their house and being here. But just doing that, I mean, just think about all the things that you have to do just if you were to move, and think about doing that across the country and bringing your kids and doing that. And they've never even met me, man. We're doing this over FaceTime. Yeah. I've sold more houses on FaceTime, I think, than I have in person. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, and how many of us, if anybody's lived anywhere, whether you rented or purchased, you go into a whole new area. You may focus on that house, going, hey, I love that house. It's got a pool or doesn't have a pool or whatever it is, and then you move in.
Yes.
And you haven't actually taken a few days, a few weeks, a year to actually step back and say, what's going on around me?
Right.
And how important it is for the agents to set those people up hopefully in areas that they're going to be happy with.
Yeah, and
we met someone at an open house actually that relocated from Huntington Beach, California, and they are probably hopefully going to be our clients now. They had an agent that didn't even suggest that they live at the beach, which is
where they came
heartbreaking.
Coming from Huntington Beach.
Yeah, they pushed Nocatee, and they were so overwhelmed by the neighborhood. They're like, this is like the complete opposite of what we wanted. Now we feel stuck.
Yep.
And they were just like, I can't believe that they just pushed this one spot. We had no idea how big Jacksonville was and all of these other pockets.
Yeah.
And that's what Lindsay and I both are really good at, is we love our city. I love Riverside. I love San Marco. I love downtown. I love the beach. And we really know about the areas. And so getting to know someone and what their needs, wants are, I think we can ask questions that other people don't think about when we're talking about areas of town.
Lifestyle.
Well, I agree with that 100%. The best agents are asking those questions. That's why they're the best agents.
Yeah.
And, I think, there's no doubt statistically, we know there's agents that they live in Nocatee and think Nocatee is the only place on the planet.
Yeah.
But the reality is there's a lot of people who moved into Nocatee that a couple years later are trying to sell those homes right now and get out of Nocatee to go live somewhere else.
A little more relaxed.
Yeah.
And we take pride in that, and like I said, we both grew up here. I think I've lived on every part of town. So I've, go everywhere. I mean, we have friends on every part of town. We don't discriminate on where we're going to sell. Price point isn't an option for us. I mean, I just sold a $75,000 lot. Like, I don't care. And
well, that's actually an expensive lot, though.
Yeah. Well, it's 5 acres. It is expensive, but you're right. And
I do need to bring on I'm thinking about bringing on a custom builder to talk about the relationship between working as an agent and setting the expectations, setting them up with a good custom build.
Yes.
Do you think that would be a good show?
I think so, absolutely, because we love that kind of stuff, and we personally, we're doing one right now.
Yeah, I've got a client that I met at my local coffee shop, and him and I get along really well. He's great. And he's from here, but he wants to build a duplex on a piece of property he has. So I've been helping him with the process. I just gave him the survey card for landmark title, but we are very early on the project, and I think that would be awesome podcast.
Yeah.
I will listen to it.
But she also is about to close on a deal that we did a knockdown and did a custom build on at the beach.
Yeah.
And that one's almost done. So, and we love new construction.
Yes.
Oh, he loves the incentives.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially right now with all this
Isn't
craziness.
it so amazing? It was just, I mean, I guess, well, now it's almost 3 years. 3 years ago, they didn't want to talk to you.
No, I don't even want to talk about
Oh,
that.
oh, you have an agent? You sure? Where
Yeah.
are they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember the height of everything before all of the prices skyrocketed. I was getting my biggest deal yet. And this was like a $350,000 deal. And this nowadays is like $700. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so good. I bring them to the builder, blah, 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 1%. I was like, no! I was like mortified.
I think, and this is my opinion, and the builders are not going to like my opinion. I think you guys let them off the hook way too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would have inspectors in there. I would have a home inspector on every deal.
So I usually do that.
Yeah.
I have a couple closing soon, and we're probably going to hire an outside inspector. I always encourage that, and if they can make that decision themselves, but I always do encourage them to get an outside inspection because there are things that they've caught from previous deals.
Yeah. I mean, when they have to go back into your slab, because I've talked to some of these inspectors.
Oh, yeah, this is
They
bad.
go back and tear up a slab that's already been, you're like, that's the integrity of your home.
The whole house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And catches. So I wrote the other question. We were talking about the buyer brokers agreement.
Oh, yeah. We kind of jumped around.
The importance of the to practice your spiel, obviously the key points, and someone want to reach out to these ladies. What, I don't know if there's 5, 6, 12 probably key things. You don't want to overwhelm someone, but obviously hit on the big things of the value you're bringing, what you are doing behind the scenes. What of your experience in so far, which is probably limited so far, but what kind of questions, I think oftentimes the customer, the buyer in this case, makes a statement just to see what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Have you gotten any that?
Well, I have a couple coming this week, so I'm trying to get all those objections under wraps. So, fortunately, I haven't had anybody yet have an objection, but I'm prepared for them. Yeah, I had to explain it to a buyer this week, and they have a pretty low price point, and I was just honest with them, and I said, everything is changing. I know that this is a very uncomfortable conversation that I'm having because this is my first time having it. I was just upfront with them, and I said, regardless if you use me, if you use anybody else, even if you go to the listing agent, you're gonna have to have this done. So, and they were very receptive of it. They're like, listen, I get it. Like, you got to get paid, and we're willing to work with you and figure it out together.
What do you think about? And get each of you to chime in. You're probably going to agree anyway, but. Really, especially the lower price point, the first-time home buyer type person, where they don't have a lot of cash.
Oh yeah.
To actually, that they put in their agreement that, hey, don't show me a house unless the seller's willing to give some sort of compensation.
Yeah, and that's a big point because Caroline works with and so do I.
They should have representation. It's the biggest purchase of their life, and I think that it's going to hurt first-time home buyers in different ways a little bit. We'll see how it works out. They haven't figured out if it's going to be wrapped in a loan or anything like that yet.
Yeah, and I was wondering if that was going to get brought up.
Well, we got the dating situation going on here, right?
Yeah.
We brought it up about the buyer agent and the buyer. And are we dating yet?
Yes.
Do we want to do?
Are we exclusive?
As David Heakin called, the one-nighter preform, right? I threw it back on that.
That's so funny.
But you also have two agents in this situation. If you've got a more of a first-time home buyer, low price point, they're probably, if they're coming in FHA, and now some of those buyers do have cash, but just the customer, the buyer who doesn't have a lot of cash, maybe using down payment assistance, if the selling agent, the listing agent here, I guess, because sometimes you can call the buyer's agent the selling agent. The listing agent, I know, I hate all those terms.
I know, it's so many.
The listing agent should understand the product that they have.
Correct.
Is attracting that time of client, that it's important to price it so they can compensate, knowing that the buyer doesn't have this extra money. And because you have two of you kind of looking at who's going to flinch first.
I know, it's kind of funny. I'm like, who's going to draw first?
Do you like
I
me?
always draw first.
Yeah. Does she like me?
Yeah.
Does he like me?
Check yes or no.
Yeah, exactly. But I do, and having been in some of these meetings, and obviously, Lindsay, you were at the mastermind a week ago, roughly. there seems to be there was a discussion yesterday in the class where the first thing you should be doing is calling and say, hey, I've got a buyer who's interested in your house. Okay, is available. They want to see it, and are they offering the seller offering any compensation? That's pretty much the first paragraph of your discussion,
Right.
And it should kick off that way. That way you know right away. So already. Yes, we like you.
Yeah.
We're offering
Yeah.
compensation.
Come on now. And the listing agents should be prepared for these calls,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And they're going to start rolling in now that everything's changed on the MLS. And Caroline's, and so is mine, but majority of her buyers are first-time home buyers, and that's just because she's worked in the vet's office. She's worked at other places around town in Jacksonville where most of the employees there were
younger,
and they looked up to her because she was a manager, and she treated them with respect and was a great person in their lives. And so now they're like, oh my God, yes, I want to use you. And that's another thing that we're trying to figure out. Would a flat fee be better for some of these first-time home buyers? We're just trying to navigate this together, and the more that we do, the more we're gonna get.
Well, the flat fees can be. I mean, it might be more easy for them to chew on because it's an actual dollar versus a percent, right? Some people get confused with the whole percentage thing, type of thing. Now, when you the conversation though, the listing conversation now is going on. You've got you had some listings. Are you having to go back to them now because August 17th is upon us?
Yeah. So I'm having those conversations, and everyone's kind of still in the same boat. They want to pay a buyer's representation. They want to get their home sold, and they want to compensate the other side. And as we know, if you're a buyer or a listing agent, there's times where you do work both sides unintentionally. And hopefully at this point, it's going to slow down the market a little bit. It's not like 2020 where it hits the MLS and now we're running to the house.
Right. Put a sign in the yard and you're getting your phone.
Like you got 10 people waiting at the door. And so I think it's going to kind of slow people down a little bit. We're not going to be in such a rush. The buyers are going to have a little bit more time to process what's going on and making sure that they're not sticker shocked, because I'm concerned about that. And I fell out of contract twice this week, and now I have to go back to them and say, hey, by the way, in addition to falling out of contract
and relisting your home,
we're going to have to reevaluate everything.
Right.
How do you feel?
Well, they're just redoing the listing agreement because I assume they already had that part in there. So now you just got to explain it. Say, oh, by the way, the reason I was getting 5-6, is because I'm splitting it or whatever you're doing.
Which we normally have those conversations up front and already.
She made a good point earlier when we were talking about it, was talking to your buyers from a listing perspective.
Yes.
And I think she should tap on that because it was a really good perspective of how she was going to explain it.
So when we start going over this buyer agreement, I was going to, say, so when a house gets sold, the conversation is the co-op, not necessarily, but explain what the co-op is normally from a seller agent. So I would start with that part of it, explaining if they offer that, or not, and then moving into how we're going to do our buyer broker agreement, explaining that most agents have these conversations when they're listing a home. And so when we pick the houses out we'll figure out what kind of compensation they're offering. And that's why when Lindsay and I do our buyer broker agreements, we're going to narrow down whether we're doing the flat fee or writing in additional terms. We'll have 3%, and then in additional terms, if they're not offering that kind of compensation, it will be this, or it will be 2%.
And I want to be, so everyone is clear who's listening to this, who may still have this question, is if you and your buyer agree to $2,000 or 2% or 2 bananas or whatever it is, and the seller is actually called them up on this particular home and they're offering 3%.
Right.
3
and that's
bananas,
why
$3,000.
I think for us, I'm gonna put 3.
You can do an addendum,
Yes.
the buyer broker agreement at that moment, and then make the offer.
Right, because we don't want to cut ourselves short either, but we also don't want to scare the buyers away from not purchasing at all.
No.
Because they deserve to get into a home, and I've done a few pro bonos in the past, but that's I still have to eat as well, right? And we're just trying to navigate that. And I think it depends on also maybe the difference of price points. If we're working with these first-time home buyers, we're going to know what they have We're gonna
what they can afford,
right,
and so forth.
and we're not gonna make them go broke just to pay my commission because at the end of the day, I'm here to serve you. Like I said in the beginning, like I love patient care. I love taking care of people, and that's what brings me the most joy. Of course, the paycheck helps, but you know, seeing them happy and in their home and thriving, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think every situation is different. Like I've worked with a VA buyer who had only a very small amount of money, so we had to get all the closing costs paid for, and we did it, but it wasn't gonna be the option of every home. And so I think things are just going to change. They're going to change for the better.
There's no doubt in 19 years that I've been doing mortgages, 99%, if not 100, when I have a buyer who, or in this case, a borrower to me, who is short on cash or maybe just has enough. So you're like, oh, okay, hold on a second. I call the agent and say, hey, we really need some concessions here because this is all the money they have. And you don't want them to go in there with empty pockets.
Right.
But the buyer actually doesn't understand taking it from the listing side and explaining that, the seller, okay, is going to pay you for your closing costs. You understand that actually, after they pay off their current mortgage, they have $100,000 left. Now they're going to pay your closing costs, and now they only have 95.
Right.
That is where it's coming. Most have no idea where that actual money is coming from.
I agree.
We try and help explain all of that so that they understand that the seller is taking a hit as well.
Right. Well, it adds value when they can see and understand it.
Yeah, because we try. This girl right here, Caroline, is a numbers girl. If I need help explaining numbers, she's my girl. She's my stats girl, my numbers girl. Whatever I need, I'm like, hey, help me with this. And she's got it done in like 5 seconds. And it's cool because it helps me bounce it off, and then I can explain it to them in like a 3rd grade reading level that they understand.
Because I think this whole the more simplified I call it gumpify. That's where I got however long ago I got that word. You got to gumpify it, right?
Yeah.
You got to Forrest Gump it, and it's not because they're stupid. It's just they haven't dealt with that situation before. When you have these monies being transacted back and forth, the seller's giving this, the buyer's giving this. The seller will give you something over here for that too, and now I got my commission, and you have to if you're able to explain it to Forrest Gump and they understand it, that's a huge value right there. Because I guarantee a lot of agents are going to try to explain this and not understand to gumpify it enough that the person's obviously say, oh yeah, I understand, but they really don't.
No.
And then you have animosity, and then
100%.
I think one of the big pillars of our business is, which I helped Lindsay, she wrote an email to one of her clients. We want you to understand. And I don't care if it takes 10 minutes. I don't care if it takes 2 hours. I am in it to help you. This is your purchase. This is not my purchase. I want you to feel comfortable understanding it as a whole. And I've never had it happen where I need someone else to explain it, but I have someone else if need be to step in, or we lean on the loan processor,
Yeah, and that's what, and they are on our team, right? And so I'll say, all right, let's get, our loan processor on the phone. They'll be able to break it down a little bit better for you. Maybe I missed the mark.
Just say it a different way.
Yeah, and that's all it takes, right?
Yeah. No, I think, again, thousands of loans in dealing with first-time home buyers in those situations, how many times after explaining to them, some of these things, or foreshadowing, setting expectations, this is what's going to happen. The numbers are high right now. When it gets to closing, they'll crunch down. I deliberately do that. When you start taking the time to explain that to them, 2 out of 3 times, it's not 3 out of 4 times, you will get a response from, oh my goodness, thank you for explaining to it. Now I understand. And that's, it's not getting down to the interest rate they're getting or how much they're actually paying for your commission. It's now you actually showed them value. They don't care. That's not a concern anymore. They feel comfortable, and you're off the focus of a dollar amount versus educating them. Now they feel good that you're behind them.
And I understand it can be sticker shock. I mean, you're thinking that you're doing all this stuff, and then some people don't realize like your closing costs, like half of it's already come off because you put your binder down, where things aren't even prorated yet. Like, just take a deep breath. We're gonna get through it. So it's just a estimate. We're still 2-3 weeks out. Let's just break it down. We'll get the loan officer on the phone if I'm not saying it correctly, or if you're not getting what I'm saying.
Right.
But we just did one on the way here, and I was like talking to her and telling her the same thing that you just said, just breaking it down and showing her the numbers, because she's overwhelmed. She's moving across the entire country. Like, it's a lot.
And you got a father-in-law or a father.
Yeah, somebody's in there. Yeah,
someone's chirping in their ear. Oh, did you ask him this? You ask him that? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially those assumable loans.
Have you had one?
No, but I just, people are in there, a lot of my buyers' ears about saying,
is the loan assumable?
Assumable, because it's the first thing on the MLS.
How much cash you got?
Right.
That's the next question.
Yeah.
Right? That's the response.
But then I'm like, okay, well, on top of that, now we're going to have to start paying the commission. So is the assumable loan really a good option? It's been.
Well, yeah, that is an interesting question there, because I know my wife has had one. I know.
Oh, cool.
Blair Owens had one, a VA assumable loan, but my wife was on the listing side of that. There, I have to check with Blair on hers. But yeah, I definitely want to talk, because if you're doing a lot of VA loans, I've got something to talk about offline with you. Yeah. But about these assumables, but they're out there, and the agents should be advertising those.
They are. It seems like they are.
Yeah.
My reservation is, what's the motivation for the processor to get that done? Because it's my understanding that you don't really make any money off of it when you're processing that loan.
So, well, there is a company out there. It's called Point Right, R-I-T-E, .com, that actually is. If you ever had your passport rushed, or so you pay someone, basically, you pay a service to go and take it right to the passport agency door, right? And it's the same thing here. The challenge that the assumables were just never. It wasn't worth it. And then the departments in these operations departments of these servicers that are servicing these loans, might have had a couple people that knew how to do it when they needed it, but the staff was small.
Yeah.
Now, I believe a statement was made, and I agree with it. This is going to become just like 2008, 9, and 10 when it comes to short sales and so forth. And the banks had to figure out, the servicers had to figure out what is the process, and actually put some people in that department to handle those at a more efficient pace. Yeah. And they picked up and got better at it. And it's the same thing with these assumables. They have to put enough staff there. But they're pointright.com, and I can put you in touch with them. Yeah. They will take, because there's an application, you have to fill out for the servicer. There's no loan officer involved. So like you said, there's no loan officer getting incentivized to move this and close in a period of time. But Point Right helps because the seller's got to provide documents, and then the buyer's got to get qualified, but they help put that together. So that package, when it goes to that department, because they have experience in working in these departments and these operations, is correct. Yeah. They know what's coming from them. They go through it, boom, and you're out the door much quicker. You can do it in 30, 45 days. They're going to tell you 90.
Yes.
Because that's just a standard number they're going to give out and say, it might take us 90 days. Do you still want to do it?
Right.
Yeah. But Point Right is working on this, because I think he's right. I think there's going to come a point where all these low interest loans that are out there, these FHA and VA loans that could be assumed, and people are selling homes, and they're coming here with equity, and they can pay it up, and there are some companies that will do some seconds on them too. That's a whole nother subject there, but it's out there.
Yeah.
And if you have a VA loan or FHA loan, you need to be, as a listing agent, you need to be putting that on there. Yeah. You shouldn't shy away from that situation. No. Because it can be done in a reasonable period of time.
And these services, probably like you said, if they see where it's from, they're more apt to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to grab that one because I know it's got everything I need.
It's all ready to go.
Yeah,
it's ready to go, because that was the big thing that they said, that it would go back and forth. Oh, I need a signature here. You didn't fill this out correctly, and it goes back and forth. Yeah. Where are we at?
I don't know. We've been talking.
Geez, I don't know where we could go.
We were just chatting.
Yeah. No, that was good. I want you to and you can do it together. Okay. Actually, we'll finish with anyone if there's a customer listening right now. If they come to the Luxe Group, what is the expectation of service? What obviously you've mentioned your motivation. I didn't get Caroline. I imagine has a similar motivation, that she enjoys working with people, enjoys her coffee appointments with her.
She loves her coffee.
But what can they expect from the Luxe Group if they're buying or selling?
I would say I'm so obsessed with what I do that your goal is my goal. I said it to one of my clients the other day. Just unleash me. Let me off the leash. I'll get it done. And that's really how I feel is love real estate so much. I want to make your goal happen. That's what drives me. I will do everything in my power to make it happen, and you don't have anyone better in your corner.
I don't think, because we know, we've been discussing this for the last hour.
Yeah.
The average consumer has no idea what all of us do.
No.
Because there's so much below the surface that we do. And by coordinating those things behind the scenes and so forth, it's like, preparing that great meal for your significant other, and they come in and go, oh, this is delicious. That's the high. Now, they have no idea that you may have gone through 3 different
No,
screwed up the recipe, started over, whatever. She's laughing like she's experienced this. and that's the kind of stuff that we've gone through to get them through that transaction successfully. Because you don't always contact them directly. You solve the problem a lot of times and never even tell them there was a problem. And it's already because it's already been solved.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what, like Lindsay said, I want them to sleep at night because I hear horror stories, and I can't imagine going through the biggest transaction of my life, and have something that's keeping me up at night. I'm nervous about how it's going to end. I'm nervous about the decision I made, and I don't feel comfortable contacting the person who's supposed to be in my corner. And that is what I provide, is I am in your corner, and I will make it happen. I'll do everything in my power to make you comfortable and your goal happen, no matter what goes on behind the scenes, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I have horror stories. I mean, I've sold a house and then it was deemed unlivable the moment we signed. And I almost quit real estate after that. And that moving forward.
You didn't share that story
I
earlier?
know. I just thought about it. It's a doozy. And so from that point forward, I am so anal.
Yes.
Such a stickler. Yeah. I mean, I'm touching walls. I'm lifting carpets. Yeah. I'm moving furniture to make sure there's no holes in the floor. I go to showings. The first time you meet me is not what you're going to see me at showings. I'm in jeans and boots. I'm getting dirty. I'm going in the crawl space. We're going in the attic. We're looking at everything because I'm not afraid. And these are big purchases. But touching back on what you can expect from us is we love to focus on white glove service. And, luxury is not
a price point.
Yeah, it's not a price point. It's just how you're treated, and we want to make sure that you're treated like luxury.
I disagree with that statement, and I'll say that every time someone says it. But go
ahead. And then we want our clients to rave about us. We want them to go and shout from the rooftops. Caroline and Lindsay, we couldn't have done this without them. Yeah. They were amazing, and that is one of the goals behind it.
Yeah, ultimate goal is to get a referral. I mean, that's the greatest compliment you can get.
I think a lot of agents don't think long term.
Right.
That what you just gave me is long term, because you know that every client is actually a marketing campaign in itself. Yeah. Because hopefully they're going to give you a referral, or 5 or 10, who knows, over their lifetime. Who knows how many years it will take to get those out of them.
Correct.
So that is a long-term approach. At what point did you come to that realization that, okay, this is what I'm doing, because you are still working at the golf course, that you're like, you know what, if I pour into this and I go the extra mile, clean out the garages when the sellers leave and they leave, clean toilets, or what every
Definitely.
Agent, if you haven't done that as an agent, you haven't done enough business.
No. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Going in to have an open house, and you need to clean the house before you can open it.
You're like, what happened here?
Right.
Yeah.
At what point did that did that click for you? Can you think back? I mean, maybe you probably never thought about that. That's kind of an on-the-spot question.
Naturally.
But to come to realize that this person that's right in front of me, buying or selling, this is actually my billboard.
Yeah. I don't know if there was an actual moment. In the beginning, I tread lightly because I still was kind of like, didn't really know what it all took, right? Mm-hmm. And then something clicked in me, and I had this conversation this year, actually, and it could have just been this year. I don't know. I mean, my whole energy mindset has shifted. And the more that I put into it, the better it gets.
Right.
I mean, we've cleaned out houses, we've scrubbed toilets, we've we've bring the gas blower,
Yeah.
we've
Picked weeds.
Yeah.
picked weeds, we've painted, we've, taken the trash out. I mean,
Yeah.
Always go the extra mile.
Yeah, we have like a kit that we bring with us to scrub the house. Whatever needs to be done, I'm gonna be out there, and yeah.
I think also because like I'm just grateful that they're trusting us, and I want to return the feeling they're giving me, because the feeling they give me by trusting me is so amazing. I want them to feel as amazing as they make me feel by letting me do this job every day, by putting their trust in us.
And going back to like those horror stories, like when we're trying to like put out fires and stuff, I don't want to upset the buyer or make them, even more like on pins and needles. And so something that I do is like, it could be like after the deal or something, and it'll get brought up, and I'm like, y'all don't even know, like I did this and this, and they're like, oh my God, why didn't you tell us? I'm like, you have so much going on that I can handle it.
You work so hard to get the contract, and it could be something so simple that just creates doubt in them, and then it's a great house where you do, and the problem is actually very small, and but you might tip them with that simple thing, so you go and fix it.
Yes,
they don't even know what happened.
They don't even know, and. I mean, I have a family member, I've sold multiple homes and bought with them, and there was like, I don't remember what it was, but something crazy happened, and we were trying to negotiate a couple things, and at the closing table I ended up telling them, everything that happened, and they just looked at me like dumbfounded, like, oh my God, you did all of that for us?
You just give me a picture in my mind over the last couple minutes. Agents to drive up in a pickup truck with the work boxes on the back. Toilet cleaning materials, vacuum cleaner.
Mops, whatever. I mean, we both drive SUVs. She has a trailer, whatever we need.
We had a video call with Gigi, who I do accountability group with, and she was laughing so hard because I had a backpack sprayer on because I had double booked because I have ADHD and timelines. Because I was going to spray the back porch of this the condo listing that Lindsay had to clean it, and so we would put soapy water in it, and she was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Getting the listing ready."
Her husband has a landscaping company, and so whatever we need, we're like, "I need the mower. I need the."
Oh, that's like a number one that I see it all the time. Someone know a landscaper to come over here right now?
Yeah, but she'll take his equipment when it comes to
because he's too busy.
Ladies, I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Got a little bit. Anyone listening, if you're still listening, please like and subscribe, whether it's to the YouTube channel or to the Apple Podcast